My paper is over Gandhi. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. This is one of the many quotes from Gandhi, who was the political and spiritual leader of India in the Indian independence movement. He had a major role in the development of the nonviolent protest. Gandhi taught many how to protest peacefully instead of using violence and war. His idea of nonviolent protest influenced the strategies that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. used in the civil rights movement in the United States in the 1950s and 60s. Gandhi's actions inspired future human rights movements all around the globe. He is a role model for many people today and has impact on the world throughout his work. Gandhi was born October 2nd, 1869, in India. His father served as the chief minister in western India, and his mother was a deeply religious woman who fasted regularly. At the primary school that he attended, the children wrote their alphabet with their fingers in the dust. Gandhi proved to be a mediocre student. He liked to take long walks alone rather than be in a crowd. At the age of 13, he was married in an arranged marriage, which he later said that he believed that this tradition should end. In 1888, he sailed to London to study law, like his father had hoped. He came back in India in 1891, where he struggled to gain footing as a lawyer. He finally obtained a one-year contract to perform legal services in South Africa. While living in South Africa, he was appalled by the discrimination and the racial segregation faced by Indian immigrants at the hands of the white British authorities. A newspaper mocked him for being an unwelcome visitor as he refused to take off his turban in the courtroom. He was beat up by a white driver of a stagecoach because he would not travel on foot to make room for a European passenger, and he was barred from hotels reserved for Europeans only. He formed the Natal Indian Congress in 1894 to fight discrimination. After years of protests, the government imprisoned hundreds of Indians in 1913, including Gandhi. In 1930, he returned to protest Britain's Salt Acts, which prohibited Indians from collecting or selling salt. It also imposed a heavy tax that hit the country's poorest particularly hard. He planned a new campaign that entitled a 240-mile march to the Arabian Sea. The Salt March sparked protest. Mass civil disobedience swept across India. He was arrested again in May 1930. And also in 1930, he was named Time Magazine's Man of the Year. He was released from prison in January 1931. Then 2 months later, he made an agreement with Lord Byron to end the SALT campaign in exchange for concessions that included the release of thousands of political prisoners. When he returned to India, he was once again imprisoned in January 1932. While incarcerated, Gandhi went on a 6-day fast to protest British's decision to segregate the untouchables. He was released and he left the Indian National Congress in 1934. He was arrested again in August 1942 by the British along with his wife and other leaders of the Indian National Congress, where his wife passed away in his arms while still in prison. He was released 19 months later. He reluctantly concurred with political necessities, and India celebrated its Independence Day on August 15, 1947. While on his way to a prayer meeting on January 1948, 78-year-old Gandhi was shot 3 times at point-blank range by Hindu extremist Godse. The violent act took the life of Gandhi, who spent his life preaching nonviolence. There were many different reactions when the word spread about Gandhi's death. In Pune and other areas of India, there were celebrations in the streets. The rest of the world was horrified by the death of the man who was nominated 5 times for the Nobel Peace Prize. Although he was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 5 times, he never did receive it. In the year of his death, the prize was not awarded, the reason being that there were no suitable living candidates that year. Gandhi's commitment to nonviolence and his belief in simple living have been a beacon of hope for oppressed and marginalized people throughout the world. Gandhi's actions inspired future human rights movements all over the globe. Gandhi was an honorable politician who inspired many to use peace instead of violence. His legacy continues to inspire many people and politicians to this very day. Thank you.